Have you ever made a pinky promise? It's a gesture we often make as children, a symbol of trust and commitment sealed with the intertwining of our smallest fingers. It feels like a bond, a sacred agreement between two individuals. But what does a pinky promise really mean? Is it just a childhood game, or does it hold a deeper significance? It feels special, doesn't it? A lighthearted way to ensure someone keeps their word, but sometimes, even the strongest promises, even those sealed with a pinky, can break. Life happens, circumstances change, and intentions falter. The disappointment that follows can be profound, especially when it comes from someone we trust. We try our best, we really do, to uphold our commitments and honor our word. But the truth is, as humans, our promises are fragile. They're susceptible to the pressures of life, the limitations of our own strength, and the ever-changing landscape of our hearts. Like a delicate glass ornament, they can shatter under the slightest pressure. It hurts when promises are broken, doesn't it? That feeling of betrayal, the sting of disappointment, it leaves a mark, a scar on our hearts that can make it hard to trust again. We become hesitant, guarded, afraid to open ourselves up to the possibility of being let down. The pain of broken promises can linger, casting a shadow over our relationships and our outlook on life. But what if there was a promise that could never be broken? What if there existed a commitment so steadfast, so unwavering, that it could withstand the test of time and the trials of life? Imagine a bond that remains unbroken, a source of unwavering hope and security. What if someone's word was always true? What if you could rely on every single statement, every single commitment without a shadow of a doubt? A source of absolute truth and unwavering reliability. This is the story of God, the ultimate promise maker, the one whose very nature is truth and faithfulness. A being whose commitments are as solid as the mountains and as enduring as eternity itself. Whose words last forever. His promises are not fleeting or conditional. They are eternal, unchangeable, and always fulfilled. They are a beacon of hope in a world of uncertainty, a testament to his unwavering love and commitment. God's promises are powerful, like a mighty force of nature, capable of shaping destinies and transforming lives. They are not empty words, but rather declarations of intent, backed by infinite power and unwavering resolve. Like seeds that grow into something wonderful for everyone. They are planted in our hearts, nurtured by faith, and blossom into blessings that enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. They are a source of nourishment, growth, and abundance. This isn't just an old story. It's not a dusty relic from a bygone era. It's a living, breathing narrative that continues to unfold in our lives today. It's a true story of God wanting to be close to his people, to walk alongside us, to share in our joys and sorrows, and to offer us his unwavering love and support. It's a story of intimacy, connection, and belonging. He made special agreements called covenants, stronger than any pinky promise. These covenants are not mere contracts, but sacred bonds, sealed with his own divine authority. They are unbreakable, unshakable, and eternally binding. God said, "I will be your God, and you will be my people." A declaration of belonging, a promise of protection, and an invitation to a relationship of unparalleled intimacy and love. A family, bound together by faith, and a shared commitment to one another. Our story begins with a quiet man, not expecting anything special. A man living a simple life, unaware of the extraordinary destiny that awaited him. He was just an ordinary person, going about his daily routine with no inkling of the divine encounter that was about to change his life forever. Until God called him to trust in a promise that would change the world. A promise so grand, so audacious, that it would ripple through the centuries, impacting countless lives and shaping the course of history. A promise that demanded unwavering faith and a willingness to step into the unknown. That promise would one day reach you and me. It's a promise that transcends time and space, a personal invitation to experience the unwavering love and faithfulness of God, a promise that offers hope, healing, and a future filled with purpose and meaning. Imagine a bustling city, a hub of civilization in the ancient land of Mesopotamia. This was Ur, a place teeming with life, trade, and the echoes of countless stories. It was here, amidst the vibrant tapestry of Ur, that Abram and his wife Sarai resided. They were a couple known for their kindness, their unwavering faith, and a deep longing that resonated within their hearts. Years had passed, painting silver streaks in their hair and etching lines of wisdom upon their faces. Yet, despite the richness of their lives, a profound sadness lingered. They were old and had no children, a void that seemed impossible to fill. The empty cradle stood as a silent testament to their unfulfilled dreams. As the sun dipped below the horizon each evening, casting long shadows across the desert landscape, they couldn't help but feel that their story was drawing to a close. The vibrant chapters of their lives seemed to be fading, leaving them with a sense of quiet resignation. Little did they know, however, that the author of their lives was far from finished. God, in his infinite wisdom and boundless love, had a new story waiting to unfold, a story that would rewrite their destiny and impact generations to come. One day, in a moment of quiet contemplation, God whispered to Abram, his voice a gentle breeze carrying the weight of divine purpose. It was a call to adventure, a summons to step beyond the familiar and embrace the unknown. "Leave everything," God urged, "and go to a land I will show you, a place of promise and destiny, a land flowing with milk and honey." It sounded impossible, a request that defied logic and reason. To abandon the comforts of home, the security of familiarity, and embark on a journey into the uncharted territories of faith. But God, in his unwavering commitment, gave Abram a three-part promise, a beacon of hope to guide him through the uncertainties that lay ahead. "I will make you a great nation," God declared, "a people as numerous as the stars in the sky, a testament to my power and faithfulness. I will bless you, showering you with favor and prosperity, making your name great among the nations. And through you, all families on earth will be blessed, your lineage becoming a conduit of salvation and hope for all mankind." God was inviting Abram into a covenant, a sacred and unbreakable bond, a promise sealed in divine love. A bond stronger than any agreement between kings, more enduring than the foundations of the earth. God said, "Let's tie our lives together, intertwine our destinies, and embark on this journey as partners in faith. Trust me, and I will do something amazing through you, something that will defy expectations and leave an indelible mark on the world." Abram, full of questions that swirled in his mind like desert winds, questions about the unknown path ahead, the challenges he would face, and the sacrifices he would have to make, but also faith, a deep-seated belief in the God who had called him, said yes, a simple word that echoed with profound significance, a testament to his unwavering trust and obedience. He left behind everything familiar, the comforts of his home, the embrace of his community, and the familiar rhythms of his life. Trusting God's promise, he stepped into the unknown, his heart filled with hope and his feet guided by faith. This was the beginning of God's rescue plan for the world, a plan orchestrated in divine love and set in motion by the simple act of obedience. Abram's yes would ripple through history, its impact resonating through generations, shaping the course of nations, and ultimately paving the way for the salvation of mankind. God's covenant was more than a deal, a mere transaction or legal agreement. It was a relationship, a deep and abiding connection built on trust, love, and unwavering commitment. God promised, "I am for you, I am with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you." Your story is just beginning, a new chapter is unfolding, filled with endless possibilities and boundless potential. Through you, I will bless the world, extending my grace and mercy to all corners of the earth, bringing hope to the hopeless and light to those in darkness. And Abram believed, his faith unwavering, his heart filled with hope, and his spirit ready to embrace the adventure that lay ahead. Abram packed up, told Sarai, gathered Lot, and set out with only God's promise to guide them. Every day was uncertain, but they trusted the promise maker. They finally reached Canaan, a beautiful land God said would belong to their family. But Abram and Sarai were still childless and growing older. The promise seemed impossible as years passed. Their hope faded, but God never forgets. At the perfect time, God spoke again. He changed Abram's name to Abraham, father of many, and Sarai's to Sarah, princess. Every time someone called Abraham's name, it was a reminder of God's promise. Even when hope seemed gone, God was working. The land was theirs, but the real promise was still coming. God's word was tied to their very names. The story was far from over. One night, when Abraham doubted, God led him outside. "Look at the stars," God said. "Try to count them." Abraham couldn't, there were too many. God promised, "That's how many children you'll have." Under the vast sky, Abraham believed God. God saw his faith and was pleased. To seal the promise, God prepared a special covenant ceremony. This was more than words. It was a promise party Abraham would never forget. God wanted Abraham to know his promise was unbreakable. The stars became a symbol of God's faithfulness. Abraham's trust changed everything. The covenant was about to be sealed in a way only God could do. In ancient times, covenants were serious business, sealed with solemn rituals. God told Abraham to bring animals, not as a casual offering, but as a binding agreement. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a deeply significant act with profound implications for the future, and carefully arranged them for a covenant ceremony. The animals were meticulously chosen and placed in a specific order, each element carrying symbolic weight. This arrangement was crucial, setting the stage for a powerful demonstration of commitment and consequence. It was a visual representation of the stakes involved in the promise about to be made. In those days, walking between the pieces meant entering into a sacred oath, a promise so binding that it carried life or death consequences. It was a public declaration witnessed by all, that the person making the oath was willing to face the ultimate penalty if they failed to uphold their end of the bargain. If I break this promise, let me be like these animals, torn apart and destroyed. It was a visceral, unforgettable image, designed to instill a deep sense of responsibility and deter any thought of betrayal. The act served as a constant reminder of the gravity of the commitment being made. As Abraham slept, exhausted from the day's preparations and perhaps overwhelmed by the weight of the promise, something extraordinary happened. He drifted into a deep slumber, unaware of the divine drama that was about to unfold. The stars twinkled above him, silent witnesses to the unfolding covenant. God alone passed through the pieces, a smoking firepot and a blazing torch, symbols of his divine presence and unwavering commitment. This was no ordinary covenant. It was a unilateral declaration of God's faithfulness, independent of Abraham's actions, as fire a consuming, purifying force representing God's power and holiness, and smoke, a mysterious, ethereal presence signifying God's unseen hand at work. Usually in such ceremonies both parties walked through, signifying their mutual agreement and shared responsibility in upholding the covenant. It was a symbolic act of unity, binding them together in a common purpose. But this time only God did, underscoring the unique nature of this covenant. God was saying in no uncertain terms, "This promise depends on me alone." It's a declaration of unconditional love and unwavering commitment. Even if you fail, even if you stumble and fall, I will keep my word. My faithfulness will not waver, regardless of your imperfections. If the promise is broken, if the covenant is violated, I will pay the price. I will bear the consequences, taking the burden upon myself. God's covenant was pure grace, an unearned, undeserved gift. His love, not our effort, is the foundation of this promise. Abraham didn't have to be perfect. He didn't have to earn God's favor. God's faithfulness was enough. His unwavering commitment was the anchor of the covenant. This one-sided promise, this act of pure grace showed God's heart, a heart overflowing with love and compassion. His love is not based on what we do, on our performance or achievements, but on what he has done, on his sacrifice and unwavering commitment. The rescue plan was set in motion, a plan rooted in grace and destined to change the course of history. Generations later, Abraham's family had grown, but they were slaves in Egypt. God remembered his promise and sent Moses to lead them out. At Mount Sinai, God came down in fire and thunder. The people trembled as God spoke, "I am the Lord who rescued you." He invited them into a covenant to be his treasured possession. God gave them a new identity, a people set apart. He offered a relationship, not just rules. If you obey me, you will be my special treasure. God chose them out of love, not because they were better. He wanted them to show the world what he is like. The covenant was an invitation to belong. God's promise was for a people, not just a person. The rescue plan was unfolding. Being God's treasured people was a gift and a responsibility. God gave them the 10 Commandments not to spoil their fun, but to guide them in love. Their lives were meant to shine as a light to the world. But the people struggled to keep the covenant. They forgot, complained, and turned away. Yet God's love never gave up. Even when they failed, he remained faithful. God disciplined them but never abandoned them. His grace was bigger than their mistakes. The story was messy, but God's faithfulness never wavered. He knew they couldn't keep the covenant perfectly. That's why he walked through the pieces alone. The world needed a rescuer who could keep the promise for everyone. God's plan was always for everyone, not just one family. Through Abraham, all nations would be blessed. God chose Israel to be a light to the world. The blessing would come through a promised king, a rescuer from Abraham's line. This king would defeat sin and death and bring God's blessing to all. One night in Bethlehem, Jesus was born, the fulfillment of God's promise. Jesus kept the covenant perfectly and offered a new covenant written on our hearts. He took our place, sealing the promise with his own blood. Now anyone who trusts Jesus becomes part of God's family. The promise is for everyone everywhere. Jesus opened the door for all to belong. Today God's promise is still alive for us. We are His people, chosen to shine His love in the world. Even when we fail, God's faithfulness remains. Our hope is not in our perfection, but in His unbreakable promise. God's story is one of hope and love that never ends. He gives us His Spirit to remind us of His promises. We are never alone. God leads us just as He led Abraham. Let's live as people of the promise, sharing His love with everyone. The family that began with one man now includes us all. God invites us to trust Him, to look up and to believe His promise is for us too. And that promise is Jesus.